Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff alongside me as ever, and Alison McConnell and Tam McManus join us on this Monday to look back over the weekend's football and obviously discuss the emerging headlines today. The big one was, of course, the European competition draw for Champions League, Europa League and the Conference League. And with Rangers involved in the Europa League, everybody was hanging on every word from UEFA. And finally, out came the name, Ruffy, Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, I think it's we spoke about what kind of tie Rangers would want for the footballing side. I personally, at this stage of the career, at this stage, would want a big team like Barcelona or something like that.
Borussia Dortmund, not a big team?
No, that's what I'm saying, but yeah. Borussia Dortmund fit the bill. Their stadium fits the bin, they fit the bill. Their supporters fit the bill. I think the Rangers supporters that get a chance to go to Germany will enjoy every minute of it. Hugh keeps telling us about them, that's Hugh's team. So no, I think it's a very difficult draw footballing wise. German teams are always very, very strong. So no, I think it's a good tie all round.
Yeah, it's the type of team that you always associate with the Champions League for me, Borussia Dortmund, Ali. But the one thing that I think any fan in Scottish football loves is when a big name star comes and they'll get a chance to see Erling Haaland at close range.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it has the feel of a Champions League tie. I think they have the feel of a high calibre European team, and with that comes glamour and excitement, what I think you associate with the latter stages and knockout stages of a European tournament. So I think Rangers will relish it. I think we all know that you would expect Dortmund to go through and progress, but it's a fabulous opportunity for a showcase game at this point in the season. I think it's one that they'll look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Hugh has just mentioned there. Hugh McDonald will be delighted with Dortmund drawing Rangers. Of course, if ever a man can get pelters from two sides that he likes, I mean, he better not wear his Borussia Dortmund top tomorrow on the show.
I think he'll have it on tomorrow, certainty. I think he'll put it on. But no, I think I agree with Ruffy. I think that's a fantastic tie for Rangers. You know, they're a top side. I think they're second in the Bundesliga behind Bayern Munich. You know, they're a very high calibre team. I think it'll be a very, very difficult tie for Rangers to get through. But
have you been in the Westfalen?
I have. I went with Scotland under 21s. We played Germany and we went to the full squad game the day after in the Westwater Stadium. It was full as well. A lot of Scotland fans there and German fans. So I think that hopefully, fingers crossed, Rangers supporters can go over there and get to the game. You know, because that would be terrible if you no fans in there, you know, that big stadium. So no, I think that's a great tie for Rangers.
Yeah, Gary Hawthorne, Dortmund will blow Rangers away. They won't even need to get into top gear. 5 to 10 minutes of them playing well, and it will be game over. Well, Gary's very dismissive. I think the way Rangers have made this transition from the way they played under Steven Gerrard to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has been it's not so much a smooth transition, but they've moved, it seems, effortlessly from a style of play under Steven Gerrard to this new way that Van Bronckhorst wants to play. Yeah,
I think it's been seamless. I think it's helped when you're winning games and not dropping points, so there's an easing of pressure when you can see that it's working and taking root. I think what you're seeing immediately is that players are buying in to what it is that he wants to do. But I think, again, we spoke of it there, that I think you would expect Dortmund to come and win comfortably, but that's the beauty of football, is that you don't know, and for a team of where Rangers are just now, it's an opportunity to go and compete, to test yourself and to see just where you are coming up against a team of that magnitude.
Yeah, we'll talk about Celtic against Bodo Glimt a little later on when we discuss their match against Motherwell, but certainly you can give us your thoughts on what you think about Celtic drawing the Norwegian champions. They won the title again yesterday, so give us your thoughts on that. If you want to see the full Europa League draw that Rangers have been drawn against Borussia Dortmund, this is what it looks like. Seville against Dinamo Zagreb, Atalanta, Olympiacos, Leipzig against Real Sociedad, Barcelona, Napoli, Zenit, Real Betis, of course there's Rangers, Sheriff against Braga and Porto against Lazio. So that all went without a hitch. Something that went without a hitch on the match at Tynecastle on Sunday was Rangers. There was a 4-minute window where they just absolutely battered Hearts. There was a finish from Morelos, a class ball from Goldson towards Joe Aribo, and suddenly Rangers are 2 up and sailing.
Yeah, it was a quality game. I only saw the highlights, obviously, but up until Rangers scored, Hearts were giving it everything. You know, they had a couple of chances, but that's what happens when you've got clinical players in your team. You take your chances in this league, and if you take them, generally you win. You know, I think Hearts will be really upset that they never took something out of the game. But in the end, I think Rangers were the better side with the better chances.
Yeah, I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, this is what he had to say at the end of the game about his team's overall performance. We have to play our own game, keep our standards high. If you don't have that, it's going to be really difficult. They are very open about getting in new ideas and working hard in training and in team meetings to make sure they do the stuff we want on the pitch. You can see that the more we train and talk with each other, the better we become. You still have a lot of things to work on, but we have time. Of course, 5 wins and a draw now under Giovanni.
No, I think he's came in, hit the ground running. As I said, he's probably glad he missed the semi-final. So he's still unbeaten as a Rangers manager. I feel as if they're so much stronger defensively now. Their full-backs, it's not as expansive. You know, under Gerrard, the 2 full-backs bombed forward. Now you can see they're more solid at the back. They're kind of trusting their front 4 to go win the game for them. And they've certainly done that yesterday. I thought Aribo's goal was superb. Great first touch and lovely finish. He's playing out his skin at the minute. Playing very, very well. Morelos gets on the score sheet. So I think Hearts will be disappointed that they never got anything out of the game. I thought they played some good football, but clinical. But that was the difference. You know, Rangers were clinical in that final third and put Hearts to bed early.
Well, Bob says here, a class ball from Goldson. It was a hoof up the park, Peter. I think Bob's being very, I don't think he's been very gracious about it all, Ruffy, because he looked up, he saw the run. I thought it was a great pass.
Yeah, it was a good vision from him. You know, he saw that the Hearts back 4 had pushed up. And it was a precise ball right over the top. He had one before that, you know, right to left. He just pinged it. Got Kent, I think that was the first goal. I think it was Kent skinned somebody and put it across and Morelos scored. So no, he's got that in his makeup, but as Tam said, the touch for boys, you don't get anything if you've not got that touch. Yeah. If you haven't got the ability to pull the ball down like that, you're not going to score.
On the flip side of it, Robbie Neilson, prior to them kicking off, was talking about the place would be bouncing, chance to get at Rangers. It was probably, for me, the last chance of anybody taking them serious about splitting the old firm. Certainly didn't look at them as title contenders. But I think in that window yet again, the one thing that was emphasised is the lack of firepower. Boyce had 2 or 3 good chances, Ali, and he could not take them.
I agree. I think that was the difference between the 2 teams. I think if you to look at it, it was a fairly even game, but the difference was that Rangers took the chances that they had, and once you have a 2-goal lead, I think it's very difficult to come back from it. I think they just flexed their muscles a bit, took their chances. I think Hearts just were shell-shocked actually in the immediate aftermath of that, given the fact that they'd started pretty well. I think it just took the wind right out of their sails, but you're right, I think hitting the woodwork, a couple of really good opportunities, but they just lack some bite up front, I think.
Yeah, even the Hearts manager Robbie Neilson acknowledged that at the end of the game.
Probably the balance of the play, we were the better team today, but they took their 2 moments. That's the difference between the 2 teams today. You know, even first half when we went 2-0 down, we still controlled the game, I thought. You know, 2 shots on target they had first half. You know, we had several. So it was that final moment that we didn't take. But it shows where we are as a team that, you know, the course of the game, more possession, more shots on target, more shots, you know. We just didn't have that final moment.
Yeah, I always like managers when they start quoting the stats. I mean, it's a bit of the, I think Robbie's got a bit of the old Craig Browns. I know you're reading my mind there. More shots, more shots on target, more or less, more possession, but it matters not a jot if you can't put the ball in the net. Ginelli got himself sent off at the end. It was a bit stupid, really.
I don't think he did, justifying to get another card. I think if the referee had looked at it more sensibly and he could have dealt with it better before it sort of escalated into everybody getting involved. But no, I don't think it was his fault. I don't think he started it. I don't think he did anything during it. And I thought it was really unfortunate to get the second yellow.
Yeah, okay. Good win for Rangers. Give us your thoughts overall on it. That win earlier in the day yesterday put the pressure once again on Celtic when they kicked off against Motherwell, but it was just a moment of magic from the man they're calling the Wizard of Oz, Tom Rogic. The difference between the 2 sides. It was a good game to watch, Tam, to be perfectly honest with you. If anything, the one recurring theme as I was watching the game was this could come back to bite him, the fact that they had no recognised striker. And time again, they would play it and play it and play it and then go back and play it because they wouldn't throw the ball into the box. There was no runners.
No, as I said, I seen the Celtic team yesterday, and I thought they were going to struggle a wee bit, and by all accounts they did. But they got the win, and I think that's very important. Just to keep tabs on Rangers. They're grinding results out. For me, I didn't think they had that capability to do that. But Hearts at home, 1-0. That game, 1-0. They're starting to win games 1-0. Keep clean sheets. Just staying on the tail of the Rangers. So I think the Celtic supporters it's just all about winning at the moment. They're not really bothered about that much about performances, but to go and win 1-0, good result, move on to the next game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to credit, Rogic was good. Joe Hart made a crucial save, Alison.
Yeah, I think actually that's been one of the big differences for Celtic this season is that they have a reliable goalkeeper. He's come in, I think you can see his leadership and you can see his influence. I think it spreads a level of confidence through the team and through the back line. I think he's been important for Celtic so far this season, and I think you're right. I think that was a pretty significant moment in the game. I thought the second half Celtic looked, they had a 15-20 minute spell where you thought the second goal would come, and then when it proves elusive you do wonder whether or not they're made to pay for it. But I still just go back to Thursday night. I thought it was madness to play Kyogo, to bring him on when there was no need for it. I think when he was the last really remaining striker who was fit and available at the club, I think it would have made sense just to rest him and sacrifice the performance and the result against Real Betis, just thinking of the bigger picture.
Well, here's a bigger picture dilemma for you. Would you sacrifice him for the cup final, knowing there's an Old Firm game coming up?
I don't think you can afford to. I think if it's a hamstring injury, I think it would be remiss to play him if there are any question marks at all, because you risk him then being out not just for that game, but possibly 6 to 8 weeks if it's a proper tear.
Yeah, interesting. As far as overall, the injuries are racking up. It's always a worry when you start seeing players coming off. James Forrest, the latest of them. But the manager, Ange Postecoglou, is not making any excuses.
You can go around sort of feeling sorry for yourself and make excuses, but we haven't done that from day one. From the first game of the year when we had plenty of those cards to play, we didn't. We lost the first game of the year. We licked our wounds and got on with it. And every challenge we've had plenty of them. We've just kept going. This is just another one. And, as I said to the players, they're finding the will and the drive and the desire to get the job done, still playing our football, our principles, and credit to them.
Yeah, I mean, it was an enjoyable game and made an enjoyable game by Motherwell. And the way they went about their business, you can actually see how they can cause teams problems. Tam Watt is lively, he's good, he can hold the ball in. Van Veen, always a threat. The boy Rollery, it really impressed me. Their number 7 was a guy that caught the eye as well. I mean, he skinned Juranovic on a couple of occasions. No,
I think they're a good side. I was impressed with them at Easter Road last Saturday. I thought they played really well. I thought they were solid at the back. They've got a good shape about them. They work hard in the middle of the park. And as you said, that front three is tricky. Watt, Van Veen and Willery, good players. So I thought it was going to be a difficult game for Celtic. I said that on Friday, and that's what it turned out to be. But I think Motherwell will be fine this season. I can see them finishing the top 6 if they can keep hold of Tony Watt and they don't cash in on him.
Yeah, of course, Graham Alexander, as ever with managers, not too happy with the result and the build-up to the goal.
I thought the game-winning moment was a wrong decision. I didn't think it was a free kick. I thought we set the bar early in the game with what sort of challenge would be okay, which is fine. Every ref sort of interprets things differently, but then you take that as the bar, and I didn't think that was given due to other challenges that were going on earlier on. I thought it was a cheap free kick to give.
Yeah, I noticed that Motherwell, I think they were all travelling in about 35 cars. Good that they got a pass for the car park, but I'm just looking at the situation here. Mixed messages came out over the weekend. I know from club's point of view, the messages that were coming from the SFA and the SPFL, and then suddenly a change because Jason Leach seemed to contradict it all on BBC Scotland. The SPFL and the SFA have confirmed that clubs and players on a bus or a plane won't be close contacts of a positive case.
That's just now, Peter.
Yeah, I think that'll change.
Well, we had a board meeting after the game specifically about that, because we've got Inverness and Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And we're at the stage where the players might have to travel individually in a car with somebody who is booster jagged. and that's the only way they're going to get the game. They can't travel together, so everybody's putting their name forward that has their booster, and they're going to drive a certain player or two players or whatever, because you can't take a chance now. You can't take a chance in the buses, you know, because as soon as one, that's you could be a whole. If they're all in the bus and there's somebody on that bus, that's you half a team away, you know. So we're waiting until tomorrow. There's a government meeting tomorrow morning, I think it is, and then they're going to announce something in the afternoon, but I think it'll be a lot worse than what we think.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, and you know, I've listened, and we try and read as many of the messages as possible, not only on the feed from YouTube, but on our app as well. And if you download the app, there's a submissions section where you can actually write, and it'll drop right into our bucket here, and we can read your emails as well. And there's a feeling from some who think we're pushing this, you know, everybody has to get a vaccine. I don't think we have pushed people have to get a vaccine on this programme. I think what we've done is observed the rules and looked at it and said, if you don't do this, you will not gain entry to a sports ground. It's as simple as that. I don't think at any point I can remember in this programme, if you get your jag, you get your jag. Everybody's got the democratic right to decide not to. But if you decide not to, Alison, there are some venues you're just not getting in.
Yeah, and I think it's not based on arbitrary decisions. It's based on scientific evidence. It's based on people who have studied viruses and who are far more intelligent than you and I will ever be, to understand how these happen, to try and limit the spread, and to try and avert the damage that it can cause in terms of significant numbers of the population. So I think it is up to each individual to make a decision, but I would urge people to make a decision on the evidence that has been presented to all of us. And I think when there are decisions made about getting into stadiums and into events, it isn't based on trying to force people down a particular road, but rather trying to protect the majority based on evidence that's done in a laboratory with people who have studied these things for 6, 7, 8 years, people whose lives have been dedicated to understanding the work of cells and how viruses migrate and mutate. And I think sometimes you have to accept that people know what they're talking about and put your trust in them. If you choose not to do so, that's fine, but I don't think you can be critical of those who do so, because their reasons come from a good place. I think their reasons come from trying to protect the vast numbers of people who are maybe much more vulnerable than regular people who don't have any outstanding health issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the biggest problem we've got is this final next week. Because you've 50,000 people going there, and I would guarantee that a lot of them don't have the criteria that's going to be announced tomorrow. So a lot of people are going to be maybe have tickets for the game but not have the proper stuff to get in.
Yeah, well, listen, we'll wait and find out for the next 24 hours.
I think what you have to say is nobody wants it. Nobody wants any more restrictions. Like, I think if everyone, you go in, everyone's enjoyed having a bit of life again, about being able to go for dinner or go to the cinema or go and watch your team and get back to where it was before it, or almost back to where it was before. But I think you can understand if there are restrictions, it's not because someone wants to put to dampen your fun or to try and stop us going back to real life. It's based on the science that comes behind it, and it's a global thing. It's not just happening here, it's happening all across the world.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to knock conspiracy theorists or people who object, because we get enough abuse just for offering an opinion on football, never mind medical reasons. Anyway, apart from anything else, one of the things that happened today was the Europa Conference draw, and Celtic got Bodo Glimt, who are the champions, Ruffy. By the way, they haven't lost a game since August.
I have to be perfectly honest, I've never heard of them in my life. I have to be perfectly honest, but since I've done I've done a research, and they are top of the league. They are top of the league.
They've won the league, Ruffy.
They won the league.
Did you know Honved before you played them?
Yes. Well, Honved were well known. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that's the first time I have heard about them. But they're from Norway.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this line here from Tom Crossan, who says Celtic will be playing Braidhurst High School in the Europa Conference. Tom, Braidhurst High School are a very good team. Tam, you're there coaching it, aren't you?
Don't be dissing Braidhurst, some good boys coming through there, but I think that's a tough draw for Celtic, I really do. I think that was one of the toughest they could have got. I think you wanted to kind of avoid them. They beat Roma 6-1. In the group stages, they drew 2 each in Rome. They've got a great home record. They play in AstroTurf. They've just won the Norwegian League. I think that's a tricky tie. I think Celtic will be looking to do the business at Parkhead before you go over there, because that's a tough tie going to there.
Okay, you can give us your view on Celtic and their opponents in the Europa Conference. What are you laughing at?
I never thought we'd seen the day in European ties when we get teams that we haven't even heard of, that can't even pronounce their name. And the old, I mean, these not just the team itself, but the names of the teams.
Yeah.
It just shows you the FIFA and whoever have introduced a chance for all these teams to compete, because I mean, what can you name any team that Rangers or Celtic played with against 10, 15 years ago that we didn't know who they were?
Lincoln Red Imps, Armedia Bratislava.
That's the last 2 or 3 years. I went 10, 15 years ago.
When I was a boy and Celtic drew, there was an Albanian team, Tirana, I think. I seem to remember as well.
Tirana.
And you just made that up. Shut up. So do you honestly think I'm going to fall for that? Anyway, there are a few, Ali. But the one thing I would say about this, and I was watching the draw, is that quite simply, I think I wasn't too enamoured with the suggestion of the Conference League in the first place. I'm now backing it because I can see that with each tier of football that people get a chance to play European football, it enhances their status in the European stage, but also gives them a chance to get money in, a chance to get £1, £2, £3 million of access out with their own league, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I think money is what it all comes down to. It's an opportunity for clubs to make money, and it's an opportunity for UEFA to maximise revenue and to create interest. I think, like any tournament, I think the deeper it goes, the more glamorous it will get when you see some of the names that are still in it, and it could go into the latter stages of it. I think it adds another layer to your season, I think, from Celtic's perspective. If you offered them the opportunity of it, you might not know much about it, and Brendan Rodgers was quite scathing about it last week, but there's an opportunity to go and play European football after Christmas. It wouldn't be your first option, it wouldn't, you'd be hoping to be elsewhere, but I think as a parachute you would take it.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't all have the same...
2 or 3 years' time there will be another 8 English teams in that. I'll be right, everybody in England will be qualifying for that tournament. You'll be sitting there going, these people are taking over this place.
Oh no, listen, now, don't suffer from xenophobia. Also, Hugh says, Peter, is it right if Celtic lose this game, they drop down into the Junior Cup? which just shows you the contempt that people have. And then Stephen Glancy says, no, if they lose to Bodo Glimt, they parachute into the 10 and 6s.
Celtic's best chance of silverware in the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not knock it. Anyway, apart from anything else, listen, there was a team in the last couple of months that could have been playing in the 10 and 6s had it kept going the way it was going. I'm talking, of course, about Aberdeen, but he's slightly in better fettle now. Although I have to say to Andrew Shinnie, come on, you're a jammy lot. You scored with a handball. You won the game with a handball. It was blatant. It should never have stood, Shiny.
There's only 2 hands.
Hey, let's take anything. A win's a win, as you well know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you got the goal. Teddy Jenks was delighted to get it. Here's my first take. I watched the game, Andrew, the full 90 minutes. I was gobsmacked he took off the boy Jet. I thought he was playing really well. I don't get the fixation with Marley Watkins.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I didn't think Marley Watkins performed at the levels that he can do on Saturday. And Jet, as you say, showed a fantastic vision, an ability to find a player in space with a pass. I think the reason that Stephen took him off was that he wanted somebody that was going to run on beyond the main striker. Now, Jet's never going to do that, whereas Teddy Jenks does. Hey, Stephen Glass got it right because his substitute came on and scored the winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, over the piece, I think, St Johnstone will feel slightly miffed at the nature of the winner. Did you at the time when you were watching the game, Andrew, think it was a handball? Did you understand why, Xander Clark was chasing the referee?
I must admit that from where I was watching it in the main stand in the press area, I was in the blind side, the same as the referee was. And I didn't see a handball, but immediately you see the reaction from players. That's usually a pretty good barometer of whether the ball has been handled or not. And then when we spoke to Teddy Jenks afterwards, he kept a poker face for all of about a millisecond, and then a big broad grin came over his face, and then he tried to say, all that I remember was the ball dropping at my feet and me sticking it in the back of the net. He remembers full well what happened. And as they say, you know, these things level themselves out over a season. Callum Davidson wasn't thinking that on Saturday, but you take the rough with the smooth, and as Aberdeen go up the road on Saturday, they are probably thanking their lucky stars, but they've got 3 points in the bag.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, because Stephen Glass mentioned at the end of the game that not many people come away from McDermott Park with all 3 points. He was happy.
Anytime you win games, you jump the table pretty quick. So it's important. Now the next thing is Hibs away. So that's what we focus on next. But we're happy. I'm delighted for the rewards that the players have got as well. It's easy. Said before the game, it's easy to come here, not be at it and get beat, because St Johnstone are a good team. Callum's obviously got them fighting, and they're in a difficult spell at the minute, but you know it's tough here. And I think a lot of teams will come here and not win.
Andrew, I cannot believe it, but you're talking about a double winning side from last season are now rock bottom of the Premiership.
Absolutely. I must admit, I didn't realise until after the game that defeat was going to mean that they dropped to the bottom of the table, but they just can't score goals. They've scored 9 goals in 16 league games this season, and therein lies the problem. They're solid defensively, they've got an excellent goalkeeper, they're not the greatest to watch, they're not particularly expansive, but up front, I know Stevie May's injured, but Stevie May these days isn't a 25 goal a season striker. Chris Kane works hard, was unlucky on Saturday with a header that hit the post, but in the end of the day, they seriously lack firepower, and that's how they're going to struggle to get out of this position. But as you say, they won a double last season. Callum's an excellent manager. Things will turn around, because we've seen it all through the season. Sides have bad spells, and then it flips completely on its head. Aberdeen are the prime example of that. 3 wins in a row after 3 defeats in the spin. Who's to say St Johnstone won't follow suit?
Yeah, do you see that, Alison? I mean, 4 straight defeats, 1 win in 9. It's not good for St Johnstone. You know, as Andrew said there, sometimes you can go on a wee run, but you have to flip it. I don't think they can rest on the laurels of what they achieved last season and think it'll come good. Somebody needs to get their finger out.
No, I think you know that yourself, and I think the danger when you find yourself down there and on the kind of run that they're on just now is it psychologically it starts to eat into the squad, and if you become marooned, it's very, very difficult to get back out of it. I think they've really felt the loss of Ali McCann at times. I think they've struggled for goals, and I wonder if it could get worse for them. I think if Callum Davidson was tempted to go elsewhere, I know there's a lot of talk about Preston and some talk about Hibs, you think if they're to lose a manager now too, could really put them in the mire.
Yeah, dare I say it, if there was a bridge or an escape route for Callum Davidson, some people thought he should have looked upon it last season after winning 2 cups, but certainly on the evidence of the 90 minutes, it gets that feeling, the St Johnstone manager, that things are just not going his way.
Still think it's a handball, even from my first reaction. I actually think the free kick given was not a free kick either. You know, so it's really hard to take. I think the referees for this season for us haven't really gone away. There's probably 3 or 4 handballs that have led to goals. Hearts game, Hibs game penalty. That game today basically cost us points, which you look at league tables really tight. I think it's really important you get those decisions right.
Yeah, I think a lot of managers are becoming frustrated. Ruffy, I have to say, this season, just before we go back to Andrew, this season more than anything, I think I've looked at more and more below par performances from some referees. I thought the referee at Celtic Motherwell at the weekend was poor. I mean, he for both sides, he really frustrated the players and decisions, couldn't let the game flow at all.
Yeah, I think it depends what referee you get. You know, there are a lot of young referees coming through, and a lot of them are being elevated into these big high-profile games, and it looks as if some of them just don't have the experience yet to referee them, and they are making silly decisions. You know, decisions that an experienced referee you would think would like to be able to take control of. But that one, obviously, it's a Johnson. That's the get out. Is there if you didn't see it, you can't give it. And his vision was blocked, and I think that's why we all keep talking about VAR. You know, the VAR would have sorted that out and got it right.
Yeah, Andrew, just before you go, obviously next match away to Hibs, that's another 3 points in the bag as well for you guys.
The way Hibs are going at the moment, it's a possibility. Tam might disagree. He may well agree, because I know he's as frustrated with Hibs' performances as any other Hibernian fan. But they either go into this game, you know, still on a high after winning a cup, or they could be absolutely demoralised. It'll be interesting to see if they can appoint a manager between now and then. But I think Aberdeen are going okay, and they'll approach this game with a fair degree of confidence.
Just one last thing before you go, Andrew, and you'll know because you're obviously here around Aberdeen and the club and everything. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking there's something missing. I don't think Hedges will stay. I think they'll cash in on him in January. But I do think they need something on the flanks to make them dangerous on the wings, and I do think they need a striker. You need a goal scorer up there to help Ramirez.
I was going to say we've got a goal scorer in Christian Ramirez, but I think he does need help. Now, we did think in the St Mirren game, Marley Watkins and Ramirez dovetailed very well together. That didn't happen on Saturday. It may develop as games go on, but I think I would agree with you in terms of width. You know, Johnny Hayes isn't as young as he used to be, although he still gets himself up and down the park and can put in a dangerous cross. Niall McGinn seems a little bit out of the picture, and he's another who is another great deliverer of a set piece or a cross from the wings. There will be changes, I'm quite sure, and I'm sure that Stephen Gunn, the Director of Football, and Darren Mowbray, the Head of Recruitment, along with Stephen Glass, Alan Russell, and all the rest of the coaching team, will have been looking at lots of players and assessing who they could bring in. But it does look like Ryan Hedges could be on the way. And, you know, his performances have been a bit in and out in recent weeks. You need a bit more consistency. If you could have the pace of Ryan Hedges, the trickery and the vision of J. Emmanuel Thomas, merge that together, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Andrew. He talked about the Hibbies. Well, if you're going to lose a goal, the agony, the last 2 or 3 minutes, when you think you're getting all 3 points, and suddenly that old cross ball comes back to haunt you again against St Mirren and Paisley.
Yeah, Hibs have struggled all season against crosses. You know, defending crosses has been a problem. Stopping the cross coming in first and foremost. Chris Cadden's got to get out the ball quicker and stop the cross coming in. And then Darren McGregor, who did an excellent game, just switched off for a split second, and he let Shaughnessy across him, and the ball was in the back of the net. Thought it was a poor game. I thought Hibs were slightly better than St Mirren. I thought they controlled the game for long parts. I didn't see St Mirren scoring. I thought they were very, very poor. You know, a lot of Jim Goodwin was getting a lot of stick for the supporters, so I think that goal was big for him as well. I think they're 9 games without a win, so it was 2 teams that were on, the 2 of them, you could tell the 2 of them were on bad runs. It was a terrible game. I thought Hibs were going to win it. They conceded the goal, but they need a manager in quickly. You know, I'm surprised that they've sacked Jack Ross and they've noted somebody in. You know, they've got a cup final in 6 days. You know, big games coming up, and they're still not appointed anybody.
Are you surprised? The general feeling is that they're going to let David Gray take it to the cup final. I'm gobsmacked with that.
I'd be very surprised if that's the case. You know, if you're going to sack a manager, surely you've got to have a plan for somebody to come in. David Gray, listen, he's a Hibs legend as a player, but he's got no coaching experience whatsoever, and I think to go into a final against Celtic would be hard for him as well.
Dare I say it before I get Ruffy's thoughts on this, could they have been waiting for the end of the MLS season?
Possibly. I think Ronny Deila has been heavily linked with the job. He might think that he's achieved what he needed to achieve in America. You know, he's won the MLS. You know, where do you go from there? Maybe Edinburgh. You know, so it'll be interesting to see. I know Ron Gordon keeps a clean eye on the MLS and American soccer over there, so he's certainly a name that's been heavily linked, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, but I think the other thing about it though, having lived in Edinburgh for 12 years, Ruffy, if you take all your clothes off, you'll be arrested. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, you might get away
Not in
with
some
it,
places you won't. Not on the pubic triangle, you wouldn't.
No, exactly. Thanks for that. I didn't think you'd mention that on the programme, but nevertheless. Listen, Ronny Deila's one name I've heard.
Yeah.
Robbie Fowler's another one.
Yeah.
Neil Lennon apparently open to a return.
Yeah.
I think he's got something up his sleeve. I'm swaying towards what you're suggesting more and more now.
I'm really swaying towards that because of what they did at Aberdeen. You know, that the connection they had with the American side of it, and the owners are American at Hibs. They seem to be pushing everything towards an American scene with everything that's going on behind the scenes, and not the razzmatazz, but the sponsorship and the way they move ahead. And they might think that that's the way ahead. And certainly Ronny Deila is. I didn't mean Ronny Deila when I mentioned it, but now that he's mentioned it, you know, that's the kind of person they might go for, because although he didn't work for him at Celtic, he certainly had the credentials to get the job, you know, and it might have just been at Celtic, he was there at the wrong time, so they might take a chance on him.
Yeah. Okay, we wait and wonder. At the bottom end, it is incredible. Ross County unbeaten in 4, making a real go of it now. We mentioned on this show on countless occasions they have been playing good football. Dundee, to their, I think to their detriment, they could have actually had. I think McCowan could have had a hat-trick in the match. They squandered chances and Ross County took theirs.
I think it'll be really tight. I think it has the potential to be very tight at the bottom. I think it's been a massive couple of weeks for Ross County just to claw it back. At one stage I thought they were in danger of becoming adrift at the bottom. They've managed to get themselves just dragged back into it and bring other people into the relegation battle. Now I think this month can be very definitive in terms of what happens at the top and bottom end, just in framing where teams go in the latter half of the season. So I think there's still some pretty monumental games to come over the next couple of weeks.
But the win drags everybody into it.
Yeah, I've said this on numerous occasions. Every manager has a fixture list in his office, and you look at that fixture list and you look at 3 or 4 games and you go, right, they're the 3 or 4 games that are going to take us out of the trouble we're in, and that's what Ross County have done. They've identified the teams that they need to beat, and they've been fortunate they beat them, and 3 points is massive when you're down there. Yeah. I just wondered when I heard the Aberdeen manager saying St Johnstone's a hard place to come away with points. Who's been taking the points off them if they're doing it at the bottom of the league?
Yeah, listen, 3 points at the best of time for any team at the bottom is a godsend. But back-to-back wins for Livingston, they're defying everybody at the moment. They're trying to pull off a Hamilton situation here, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And Dave Martindale, to his credit, he takes a game-by-game basis. He doesn't look too far ahead, doesn't get too high when they're winning games or too low when they're on a bad run. He knows there's going to be a bad run round the corner for a club like Livingston. They're going to go 4, 5, 6 games without a win. But I like the way he works. They've had a couple of great results recently. I don't think Livingston will go down. I just think they've got something about them. They work hard. They've got a good spirit. Everybody expects them. I think there's less pressure on them than there is a Dundee or a Ross County or a St Mirren or anybody like that to go down St Johnstone. I think there's less pressure on them, so I can see them getting out of trouble. I like the way he works.
Yeah, Derek Frank actually posted a message on our LinkedIn, Ruffy. He said, should the worst happen and you all have to broadcast remotely, can you confirm that Ruffy's wife now knows the time of the show, has finished her DIY and will have the pictures all straight in the house? Ruffy, it's a big question from Derek. It's crucial.
Well, let's hope we don't have to get in that road. That would be a shocker.
Yeah, we're not going down that road, Ruffy. God, no. If I have to beat myself over the head with a baseball bat, watching you trying to communicate with each other, and then of course Mr. Anything in the catalogue at the back here with his wife decorating the place. It stays with me forever. Ali, here's the Scottish Premiership table. As you can have a look at it, the bottom end is now suddenly tighter, which I think Ross County wanted to happen. St Johnstone certainly didn't see themselves there, and Rangers still at the top, still unbeaten under Giovanni van Bronckhorst.
Yeah, it's tight at both ends. I think the bottom looks particularly fraught. As I said, I think the next few weeks can be hugely significant for teams there. I think from Celtic's point of view, it's about making sure they don't drop any more points between now and getting into the January transfer window, getting players back fully fit and obviously bringing in a few reinforcements. But I think when there's a 4-point gap at the top, I think what it does is take away any kind of safety net.
Yeah.
I think it just adds another layer of pressure to every game.
I'd love to be a fly in the wall with the former chief executive with Celtic bringing in players at the start of January. I mean, that's just not been heard of. That's unheard of.
Like our 31st of January 10 to 11 calls round, but it would be nice to have it done, not just from a professional point of view, to have it done early, but I think the manager's been fairly clear about what he wants. I think he's spoken quite openly about going back into the J-League, a league that he knows well, and I think his hand's probably strengthened by the success of Kyogo and how seamless he's been.
Yeah, if you could believe him though, there are 3 on the way.
Yeah, I think if he has a recommendation for all 3 and finances are right, then I think there would be a plausibility there to getting them.
Yeah, let's see what Gabs' team of the week looks like.
Alan McGregor made 8 saves to deny Hearts at Tynecastle as he continues to defy his 39 years of age. Ayo Obilei kept his cool from the spot and helped Livingston to a clean sheet at Tannadice. David Bates was a rock on Saturday and is improving in every game for the Dons. Joe Shaughnessy scored a crucial equaliser for the Buddies as they drew yet again in Paisley. Regan Charles-Cook scored the vital winner for Ross County and assisted the first goal as well. Tom Rogic is Celtic's man of the moment and scored a brilliantly executed set piece. Joe Rebo is the best player in Scotland right now and showed his exceptional first touch and calm finishing for his goal. Josh Campbell scored his first Hibs goal on Saturday and he's been their shining light in recent dark days. Johnny Hayes was a constant threat down the left flank for Aberdeen, delivering plenty of crosses. Luke McCowan took both of his goals really well with 2 tidy finishes, and he did not deserve to lose the game. Dominic Samuel found the back of the net for County in a crucial victory at the bottom of the table.
Well, there you are. Gabs is proclaimed in the team of the week. Joe Aribo is the best player in Scotland right now, so he's laid himself out there. My God, when I put out that I thought Callum McGregor was the best midfielder in Scotland, I got absolute dog's abuse. So let's hope Gabs gets it, Ali.
I would agree with you, actually. I think Callum McGregor's had an outstanding season over the course. I think Aribo's had a very good campaign too. I think Aribo's actually, at the minute, probably Rangers' most sellable asset. I do wonder if in January a few people might come looking for him. I think he's been excellent, but like you, I think Callum McGregor's probably the best player in the country at the minute.
Yeah, those two for me, Ruffy, are the players I like to watch. I like, not just because they're lefties, but Aribo's got a great left peg on him. I like watching him. I think he's somebody that can make things happen. The reason why McGregor is an absolute standout is because Tam, there's nothing better than a player who is always available. He keeps the whole thing running. If there's people in trouble in the back line, he's there as an option, and he gives an angle to get you out of difficult situations, and he can pick a pass forward.
I think he's a fantastic player. I've always liked him. I think he's now grown into that role as Celtic captain. He's now, he can do everything. He can go and he can put his foot in. He can play. He's got a great engine up and down. He's quick. He's a superb player, but it'd be interesting to see if the two of them keep going. That'll be a 2-horse race for player of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aribo and McGregor.
You'd have both of them in your team, definitely. 2 top draw players. If you can think of a third one, by all means, tell us. But Aribo and McGregor standouts for me. If you have a Champions League draw, you're excited, you see the teams coming out. Man United automatically thought, woof, Ronaldo against Messi, this is incredible, fantastic. And then something went wrong, Ruffy, and they didn't put Man United's ball back in the appropriate bowl.
I said that to you on Friday. I think it's an absolute mess. It's a shambles that you can't be drawn against this one or that one. When you qualify at this stage, all the names in the hat and whatever comes out, comes out. None of this, you can't do that, you can't do that. It's that's the way a competition should be run at this particular stage.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being drawn much, much later, and this is how the Champions League looks. We're not going to get Ronaldo against Messi because it certainly was mouth-watering. It's now PSG against Real Madrid, Salzburg against Bayern Munich, Sporting Lisbon, Man City, Benfica, Ajax, Chelsea, Lille, Atletico Madrid, Man United, Villarreal, Juventus, and Inter Milan against Liverpool. And this is what Sir Alex Ferguson used to call the business end of this tournament, when it really matters.
I think it's like a lot of tournaments, once you get through the group stages, once you start to come down to the knockout phase is when it gets particularly intriguing. I know there's some clubs whom their fans don't tend to start getting excited about it until it gets to this stage. But yeah, I think this is when it starts to offer a fair bit of intrigue.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, just a couple of things I want to talk about before we go. Of course, Steven Gerrard was back with Aston Villa at Anfield. What a reception he got, and rightly so. Didn't quite go according to plan, lost by a goal to nil. Steven Gerrard obviously doesn't like losing, and Jurgen Klopp was quick to point out, listen, the result will not certainly come between his friendship with the Liverpool legend.
Nothing will come between him and me. So, but around the games, we are both pretty focused. So that's the idea of this game, that when you can be the best friend with somebody, and when you play against each other, you want to beat him anyway. So I had the situation with David Wagner, for example, in the past. And, the whole fuss around it was absolutely right. But there's one person for him it's not so easy, and that's Stevie.
Really emotional seeing him coming out there. You would expect the whole place to cheer him, because as a player, phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal. Liverpool legend, as we said. He was loyal to the club. He stayed there. He carried them to many trophies. Doing well as a manager, doing well at Aston Villa. I think his natural progression will be to go and be the Liverpool manager once Klopp decides to move on. So I think it's only just a matter of time.
Yeah, I thought I'd save the best till last, Ruffy. We're going to talk about the Predictor, but just before we talk about that, here's Ronny in his pomp when he was winning the MLS, obviously leading New York to the MLS trophy. And I think, as you can see there, Ruffy, it's Ronny in his full glory. He's just decided to take it all off, keep the pants on, and hold the trophy aloft.
Yeah, amazing. Andy threw in 20 press-ups as well.
Did he?
Yeah, after he'd done that, because everybody was obviously looking for the pants coming off, but he elected to go for 20 press-ups, which was, again, pretty impressive. But typical American fans, they would buy into that. That would just be the bee's knees. That would be what they would expect, But no, good luck to him. That obviously, when you go to another country and you try to be successful, when it works, just enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, there was a wee suggestion, Ali, that he was going to do that at Celtic, but it didn't quite materialise.
I don't know about that. What I can say is I know he was very well liked by the assembled press who spoke to him on a regular basis. He was very, very good with us. He was funny. He was very likeable, very warm character, and I think he left with the best wishes of everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, William Wright says, one day you'll give Dumbarton a mention, Peter. So, bad result for Dumbarton against Montrose at the weekend.
It was a shocker. The Suns need to get their finger at it. Come on.
Absolutely.
Stevie Farrell's a very good manager. He was my captain at Glenafton.
Oh, there you are.
Just came from Stranraer to Dumbarton. It's a lovely park,
Shut up. I know what you're doing. Anyway, a couple of things now. The Predictor's unbelievable, but here's one here says, Joseph Milne says, congratulations to Ronny Deila, championship winner in Norway, championship winner in Scotland, now the MLS. Throw in a few cups for good measure too. What a dud, hey? Joseph, clearly a fan. He likes him. He says, I'm sure Peter will find something negative to say, just because Peter is always right, but I love the show. Now, I don't know about you, but he just doesn't like me at all. The point is, if you give it out, you've got to take it in. And the good thing is, Ruffy, everybody's got a different personality to add to this. If I have to be the panto villain this year from Joseph's point of view, I'm going to take it in the neck.
I don't think there was many times you'd have go at Ronny Deila. Not that many.
No, it just wasn't good enough for the job. I mean, it was just Aberdeen could have won the title in his 2 seasons, Ali. They should have won the title.
I don't know that there was ever any real sense of 40 goals the season before Brendan Rodgers went and Griffith scored 40 goals. I just think...
Wrong man, wrong place.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think he gave a very interesting interview after he'd left Celtic about basically admitting that himself, about turning up at Dermot Desmond's house in his jeans and his parker and waiting because the cleaner had to let him in, and going in the massive harp in the living room and waiting on him coming in and thinking, what have I done? You know, where am I? I think he'd left a boys' weekend in Santa Ponza to fly back to have these discussions, and just feeling like he was in over his head.
I'm warming to him already, are you?
You know, I had to walk through Peter's heart up the London.
Absolutely. Listen, the Predictor saved the best for last. Let's have a look at the head-to-head. Alison McConnell, 139. Peter Martin, 139. Alan Ruff, 139. And then Hugh McDonald in the middle at 132. And then it's not far to go to Gabriel Antoniazzi and Tam McManus on 123. It's tight at the top and the bottom, Tam.
Yep, I did say I was due a big weekend, and I've got one this weekend, and I've caught him.
Yes.
The only way he's up for me, Gabs thought he was a wee bit cocky, thinking I was out the picture. But I'm coming for him, so you better start saving your money up, Gabs, if you're watching this.
Yeah, and talking about condescending, arrogant attitudes, Alison, it seems as if me and Ruffy have caught you.
I think, am I ahead in goal difference?
No, yeah, that's the only thing. A and C in your initials is the only thing that's got you there.
I think I've had my sticky patch, Peter, you know. I think I'll come back after the break, just energised, refreshed, a few signings.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say a few shandies.
Given Ruffy's
Ruffy's
history, that might be no bad
Ruffy,
thing.
it's got to be, you've got to have a good skullful and you could win this whole thing again.
Yeah, I think our predictions are just like the football, you know, to see it the new year, and when January comes we'll get a better picture of where everybody is, because there's masses of games coming up.
What I'm going to say is that gap between top and bottom is shrinking every week.
Well, this time you could win it.
I'm not far away.
It is one of those things, if you get a 21 pointer, Ruffy, suddenly you're in the front.
Yeah, but the fortunate thing for us three is we've never looked at the bottom. We've never had to.
Better start looking at it.
Absolutely. Hope that doesn't come back to bite you in the back end, Ruffy.
I'm saying nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we love the predicting games, as you do as well, and thank you to so many of you for offering your opinion. It's always valued. Don't forget, you can download the PLZ Soccer app in the App Store and in Google Play, and it gives you all the breaking news, Scotland, England, European and world football. And of course, if you want to watch the programme at your leisure, you can do on the app, and you can also on the app listen to it as a podcast as well. It's there for you, that feature, so you don't need to go chasing on any podcast platform, but we are on there if that's the type of thing that you do, and we're so delighted that so many of you in your thousands are following us and subscribing to us. And incidentally, I'll let Gabriel tell you about it now, but we have a chance for you to win. It's not just an Xbox One, it's the Series S, which is even better than the Xbox One. Here's Gabriel to tell you how you can get involved.
Christmas is the time for giving, and this is your chance to win an Xbox One with us here at PLZ Soccer. All you've got to do is subscribe to the PLZ Soccer YouTube channel and share this video on your Facebook page. The winner will be announced next week, just in time for Christmas, so good luck.
Yeah, Ali, and I know your troops would love one of these. S Series, it's even better than the Xbox One, Ruffy. That is hours of peace and quiet for many a parent. No? Is it worse?
No.
They're all jumping about?
No, when they play with their pals and they're all shouting at one another.
There you are. Thanks for putting a damper on the prize, Ali. Yeah.
Do I want it in this?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, good luck with that. Subscribe. Hit the bell and you'll get notifications of our unique video content. Hopefully you can do that for us. And also download the app as well, and you'll get all the breaking news stories in football up and down the country. Great to have Ali, Tam and Ruffy here with me, Peter Martin, and thank you to you for supporting us. Don't forget, 1-to-1 coming up on the 21st of this month. A great 1-to-1 sit down with Gordon Strachan, looking back over his career. Lots of laughs, a few little emotional bits in there, but well worthy of listening or indeed watching on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching today.